You'll never be invited again. Those were the last words my mother ever said to me that night. Her tone wasn't loud, it was surgical. Cold. Final. I remember staring across the dining table, every pair of eyes on me. My father's silence, my sister's half smile, my grandmother's approving nod. It felt like the air itself had chosen their side. All because I told the truth. My name is Emily Hart, I'm 38, and I've spent my entire adult life trying to earn a seat at my own family's table. I built a career in hospitality and property design, climbing from event planner to project director. I worked 16-hour days. I bought my own home. I paid off every debt. And still, no matter what I achieved, I was always too much. Too ambitious. Too emotional. Too outspoken. My family preferred quiet, polite versions of love, the kind that looked good in photos and holiday cards. But that night, something in me broke. It was supposed to be a celebration. My sister had just been promoted senior manager at a glossy international firm. My parents hosted dinner at their suburban home, the same one with the marble countertops and too many framed "family is forever" quotes on the wall. I brought wine, as I always did. I smiled, as I always did. I even wore the pale blue dress my mother once said made me look soft. When I arrived, she was in the kitchen, stirring a pot of something expensive. She looked up and said, "Still managing other people's parties, Emily? When are you going to do something real?" It wasn't new. It never was. A lifetime of small cuts, delivered with a smile. "I am doing something real," I said carefully. "I'm developing a resort concept. A retreat space. It's in progress." She didn't even look at me. "A fantasy, you mean? You've been saying that for years." My father appeared behind her, glass of wine in hand. "Your mother's right, Em. You dream big, but you never follow through." My sister sat quietly at the table, tracing the rim of her glass. Grandma called out from the living room, "Back in my day, women didn't need to prove anything. Ambition just makes you bitter." Something in me shifted then. It wasn't anger, it was release. I set my glass down and said, "Do you even hear yourselves? You celebrate each other's wins, but every time I try, you cut me down. I'm tired. This constant belittling, it's toxic." The room went still. My mother's cheeks flushed. "How dare you speak to me like that in my own home?" "I'm just telling the truth," I said. "You manipulate with guilt. You use shame like a weapon. And I'm done pretending it's love." My father pushed his chair back. "Enough. This is disrespectful." No one spoke for me. Not my sister. Not anyone. My mother stood up slowly, voice cold as glass. "You know what? You're finished. Don't come back. No holidays, no birthdays, no family events. You're out." My grandmother nodded from the couch. "She's right. You've always been difficult." For a moment, I looked at each of them, searching for one flicker of hesitation, 1 ounce of love that might say stay. There was none. So I put on my coat. I walked to the door. And just before I stepped outside, my mother said, "Don't bother coming back." I sat in my car afterward, engine off, in the dark. My hands were shaking, but I wasn't crying. Instead, I opened my laptop. The glow of the screen lit up my face. On it was the business plan I'd been building in secret for 5 years, a concept for a boutique resort and event space. A dream they'd mocked, sabotaged, ignored. "Okay," I whispered to myself. "Then I'll build it for me." That night didn't destroy me, it clarified me. It was the night I stopped waiting for permission to exist. But I didn't know then how far my family would go to make sure I stayed gone. 2 days after that dinner, I texted my sister. "Can we talk? Just you and me?" She replied hours later. "Mom says if I talk to you, I'm taking sides against the family." My fingers hovered over the screen. "There shouldn't have to be sides," I wrote back. She read it but didn't respond. Then finally, "You embarrassed Mom." That was cruel. And just like that, blocked. By nightfall, I was erased. The next morning, my mother posted in our extended family's group chat. "Some family members have chosen to distance themselves. We respect their choice to take their own path." The implication was clear. I was the one who'd left. The ungrateful daughter. The problem. Within days, cousins started texting. "Your mom said you had a breakdown. Are you okay?" A breakdown. That's what they called it. Not clarity. Not courage. A breakdown. It was strange how quickly a narrative could change when one person decided to protect their image. I stopped answering calls. I buried myself in work. My business loan was approved. I found the perfect property, a weathered boutique hotel on the coast that was being converted. It wasn't much to look at yet, but I saw it, a place where people could rest, connect, heal. I started imagining the layout, the terrace, the gardens, the glass walls that would catch the sunset. It felt like the beginning of something honest. Then, one morning, my realtor called. "Emily, I'm so sorry. Another buyer came in last night. Cash offer. Way above asking." "What?" "I was supposed to sign today." "I know. But they offered double." "There's nothing I can do." My heart sank. "Who bought it?" "I can't disclose that," she said carefully. "But it's someone connected to a developer named Thomas Reed." My stomach twisted. Thomas Reed, one of my father's old business associates. I called my dad. "Did you have anything to do with that property deal?" He paused. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Dad, please. Be honest." A long exhale on the other end. "Look, your mother was upset." I was trying to calm things down. "That property wasn't right for you anyway." "It's too much risk." Too much risk. That was always the excuse when it came to my dreams. He'd sabotaged me. I didn't scream. I didn't even hang up. I just said, "Thank you for confirming what I already knew," and ended the call. I spent that night on the floor of my apartment, surrounded by blueprints and notes. My hands were trembling, but this time, not from fear, from fury. If they wanted me to fail so badly, I'd make sure my success was impossible to ignore. Within weeks, I found another property. Smaller town, yes, but on the rise. A new kind of destination, perfect for the concept I envisioned. It was affordable, available, and best of all, mine. I signed the lease in silence. No one to celebrate with. No one to toast. Just me, a cup of coffee, and a contract that felt like freedom. Then, out of nowhere, I got a message from an old friend, Mia, a mentor I hadn't spoken to in years. She'd seen my design sketches on a small blog. I'd submitted them to under a pseudonym. "This is brilliant, Em. You've always had the eye. What are you building?" I told her everything, how my family had cut me off, how I'd lost the first property, how I was starting again. She listened, then said something that stuck. "Family rejection can break you or it can build you. Use it." That night, I made a decision. Every ounce of pain, every ounce of betrayal, I would pour it into the walls of that resort. I threw myself into work. I sketched, designed, planned. I didn't sleep much, but I didn't care. The exhaustion was worth it. Months passed. Construction started. I hired contractors, negotiated with suppliers, learned more about plumbing and permits than I ever wanted to. I made mistakes. I cried. I kept going. And while I was busy building something real, my family was busy rewriting the story. At my cousin's birthday, one I'd been invited to before the fallout, I showed up quietly. My mother was there. I watched her pull my cousin aside. Her voice wasn't loud, but I heard it anyway. "I can't believe you invited her after what she did to me." Everyone turned awkward. Conversation stopped when I walked by. I smiled, said goodbye early, and drove home in silence. That night, I promised myself I would never walk into another room where I wasn't wanted. And yet, what I didn't know then was that the next time my family would see me, it wouldn't be as the difficult daughter they'd cast out. It would be as the woman who built something they could never ignore. The day the hotel opened, it rained. Not the gentle kind that feels poetic, the kind that drenches you in seconds and makes you wonder if the sky is mocking you. I stood under the awning, watching the water pour from the roof onto the gravel driveway, and laughed. Because of course it would rain. Of course, my grand opening, the day I'd been building toward for nearly 2 years, would come with thunder instead of sunshine. But the guests still came. Locals first, then travelers who'd followed our story online. Mia had helped me create a website, write press releases, even get a feature in a small design magazine. Slowly, word spread. A woman who built a coastal retreat on her own, from the ashes of family rejection. The irony wasn't lost on me. What had nearly destroyed me was now my story. When the first guests walked through the glass doors, dripping wet, laughing, I handed them towels myself. I told them I was the owner. They blinked in surprise, expecting someone older, someone different. By evening, the storm cleared. The lights glowed across the terrace, music played softly, and I stood by the bar, watching people smile. For the first time in years, I felt something close to peace. Then I heard it, a voice I hadn't expected in a lifetime. "Emily?" I turned, and there he was. My father. He looked smaller than I remembered, not in size, but in presence. His shoulders weren't as straight, his hair grayer. He was holding an umbrella, still dripping, like he didn't belong here. "What are you doing here?" I asked, my tone sharper than I intended. "I wanted to see it," he said. "I read about it in the paper." "The paper?" I laughed bitterly. "That's how you check on your daughter now?" He winced. "Your mother doesn't know I'm here. She still thinks you'll come around." "She's wrong." He nodded, glancing around. "It's beautiful, Em. You did this all by yourself." "Yes," I said flatly. "Without you. Without her. Without any of them." He sighed. "I never meant to hurt you. I thought I was protecting you. By stealing my first property? By turning the family against me." He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Just silence. The kind of silence that makes you realize no apology will ever fix what's already burned. "I should go," he said quietly. "I just wanted to see it once. I'm proud of you." I didn't say thank you. I just watched him leave, the umbrella bobbing away into the mist. That night, I cried harder than I had in years. Not because I missed them, but because it hit me how much I'd built my strength out of pain. Every wall, every decision, every brick of that place was layered with something they gave me: rejection. And without it, maybe I'd never have found this version of myself. Weeks passed. The business thrived. Guests loved the personal touch, the handmade decor, the intimacy, the sense that everything had meaning. I hired a small team, people who became like family. Real family, the kind you choose. And then, one morning, Mia burst into my office, holding her phone. "Emily, you need to see this." It was an article. Headline: Local investor announces plans for luxury resort 2 miles away. The name at the bottom? Thomas Reed. I scrolled. And there it was, a quote from my mother. "We're excited to bring new opportunities to this area. It's wonderful to see families investing in community again." My throat went dry. Families. They weren't just following me. They were competing with me. For weeks, I couldn't think straight. Investors started pulling back, curious about the new project. A few suppliers switched contracts. Even staff members got nervous. Mia tried to reassure me. "They can't copy what you built. This place has soul. Theirs will be just another luxury box." But still, the anxiety crept in. The sleepless nights returned. I'd fought so hard to stand alone, and now they were trying to crush me again, this time under the guise of business. Then came the letter. Handwritten. From my mother. "Emily, I heard your father visited you. I'm sorry you felt abandoned. I only wanted what was best for you. Maybe now you understand the world of real business. Maybe we can work together again. Love. Mom." Work together? After everything? I folded the letter and slid it into a drawer. Didn't reply. Didn't need to. But the following week, she showed up in person. She walked through the lobby as if she owned it, heels clicking, eyes scanning, smiling that smile she used to wear at charity events. "Emily," she said softly, almost tenderly. "You look beautiful. This place, it's impressive. Why are you here?" "I came to talk. I want to end this feud." "There's no feud," I said. "Just boundaries." She laughed. "You've grown sharp, haven't you?" "No," I said. "Just tired." She hesitated, then lowered her voice. "Thomas and I are opening soon. There's room for both of us if you play smart. If not what?" Her eyes hardened. "You'll learn what happens when pride outweighs reason." She turned and left, leaving behind a faint trace of her perfume, the same one she used to wear when I was little and thought she could do no wrong. I stood there, fists clenched, as thunder rumbled in the distance again. Because I knew this wasn't just business anymore. It was war. The first sign of war wasn't loud. It came quietly, a delay in deliveries, a sudden drop in bookings, whispers that my place was too small, too emotional, too unpolished. At first, I ignored it. Then I saw the new resort's billboard go up on the highway. Sleek glass, a shining infinity pool, my mother's name in bold letters under co-founder. They'd done it. My parents had built a mirror version of my dream, stripped of heart, but wrapped in perfection. And people were noticing. Guests who once praised my place began canceling reservations, saying they wanted to try the new one. Journalists who once called me inspiring were now writing about family rivalry turned business competition. For weeks, I barely slept. I walked through my halls like a ghost, listening to the echo of my own footsteps, wondering if they were right. Maybe I wasn't built for this world after all. But then, one night, something broke, not in me, but in the silence. It was around midnight when I heard soft music coming from the lounge. I followed it and found my small team, the people who'd stood beside me from the start, sitting together, laughing, drinking wine. They stopped when they saw me, embarrassed. "Sorry, boss," said Aaron, my manager. "We were just..." "No," I said. "Don't stop." I joined them. We talked for hours about why we'd started this, what this place meant to each of us. One of the housekeepers, Sophia, said quietly, "This isn't just a hotel, Emily. It's where people come when they need to remember who they are." That line stuck. Because that was the difference. My mother could build bigger. She could buy better. But she couldn't buy soul. From that night on, I stopped chasing numbers. I focused on the people, on experience. I hosted art retreats, grief workshops, small weddings. The guests who came didn't just visit, they connected. And word started spreading again, this time, not through ads, but through hearts. Months passed. The other resort opened with a bang, fireworks, cameras, champagne. My mother made the front page, standing beside Thomas Reed and smiling for the world. I didn't go. I watched the live stream instead, alone in my office. Halfway through the speech, something unexpected happened. Power outage. The entire broadcast went black. I don't know why, but I laughed, the kind of laugh that comes from somewhere deep, the kind that feels like release. That night, the wind howled across the coast, bending the trees, shaking the windows. Storm warnings flashed on my phone. I checked the security cameras and saw waves crashing violently against the cliffside. By morning, the storm had passed. My hotel stood strong, drenched, but untouched. Theirs hadn't. A landslide had taken out part of their lower deck. It wasn't catastrophic, but enough to shut them down for months. I didn't celebrate. I didn't need to. Some things destroy themselves. A week later, my father came to see me again. No umbrella this time. Just tired eyes and a man who looked like he'd finally stopped pretending. "Your mother's not doing well," he said. The investors pulled out. Thomas disappeared. "She's embarrassed. Angry. Lost." I stayed quiet. "She still won't admit it," he added. "But I think she came after you because she couldn't stand watching you win without her." There was a long silence between us. Then I said, softly, "I hope she finds peace." He looked at me like he didn't expect that answer. "You really forgive her?" I shook my head. "No. But I don't need to hate her anymore." He nodded. "You've become stronger than both of us, Em." After he left, I walked down to the shoreline. The sky was pale, the sea restless but beautiful. I closed my eyes and listened to the waves, to the wind, to the quiet hum of a life I'd built from nothing but willpower. That's when I realized something. All my life, I thought freedom would feel like victory, loud, triumphant, full of applause. But it didn't. It felt like silence. Peaceful, heavy, honest silence. The kind that doesn't need anyone's approval to exist. I started writing again after that. About resilience, about love, about the strange tenderness of surviving your own family. My story, our story, began to reach others. People who'd been cast out, ignored, or underestimated wrote to me, saying they saw themselves in my journey. Sometimes, I still get letters from my mother. I don't always open them. But one of them I did, the last one. "Emily, I came by your hotel last week. I didn't go in. I just watched from the road. You looked happy. That's all I ever wanted for you. Love." Mom. I folded it carefully and slipped it into the back of my journal. Not as forgiveness, but as closure. Now, when I stand on the terrace at dusk, watching guests clink glasses and laugh, I think about how far I've come. How every heartbreak, every betrayal, every lonely night became part of the foundation under my feet. And sometimes, when the wind hits just right, I swear I can still hear her voice, faint, distant, softer than it ever was. Not the voice that tore me down. The one that taught me, without meaning to, how to stand back up.